Hello, welcome back to the layout. Well, we still don't really have a layout. I might do a switching ops video with the Easy Track switching yard that I've built, but we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, I wanted to share with you some of the paperwork that I've created for my future layout. Now, it's really funny, but I really enjoy paperwork and I enjoy writing, so creating this has been fun. All of this, of course, is fluid. We don't know if it's going to stay that way, but, I might as well. So, one thing I've been doing is absolutely binging on around the layout op session videos because I just find that absolutely fascinating to see how other people run the railroad to give me ideas on how I'm going to run mine. And it's also just really a really good thing to listen to. So this is my operator's clipboard as it currently stands. And again, fluid, this is just me having fun when I'm bored because I can't actually do the layout yet. I've got to install lights and make a backdrop, and I've got all this other stuff to do before I can start really playing trains. So I've got to do something. So the theory is, and I've heard this in other, that when you arrive, you get a clipboard or your documents, and that is what you use to run your railroad. So I thought I would share that. So I don't know if it's going to be this size clipboard. I like this size, but I haven't shrunk everything to this size yet. So we'll get on that. I also like the idea of eventually having a track plan on the back of this. I think that's a brilliant idea, as well as other pertinent information that may just end up on the clipboard. I don't ever foresee having more than like 2 operators, so who knows, we'll see. But this is what you get. This is the paperwork that you would receive. You have your timetable right here. You have in this case, a locomotive card. That's for number 93. You have your switch list. We'll go over that. And you have your rule book right there. So you'd receive all of these upon arrival and a briefing. So what is it? All right. Well, obviously the General Code of Operating Rules for the railroad are here. This primarily talks about how I want the railroad to be run and the little steps that we're taking to increase, if not realism, what Tony Kester would call Coster would call play value, right? Explaining how the railroad is controlled, the fact that the entire railroad's in yard limits, what that means, what crossings are, switches, headlights, whistle, bell, brake tests, dismounting equipment, all that stuff, right? So that's all codified in here, and hopefully they'll take a look at that and be like, okay, cool, this is going to make this little railroad seem a little bit bigger, and we're also going to have some fun doing it. This is your switch list, right? And it's a pretty basic switch list. On the back, it has your car codes and the basic rules that are also in the timetable. But it is laminated, so you can just use a dry erase marker on it. I've tried this out with the switching scenario that I'm working with right now, and it works really, really well. When you're done, you wipe it down. You don't need to print a bunch of these. So, still a work in progress, but I'm really happy with this switch list. It seems to do the job really, really well. Locomotive card, right? This is for number 94, has a picture of the locomotive, what all the functions do, what its DCC address, fairly basic stuff. I think I already went through that. And of course, your timetable. This is still working because I'm trying to get it to a perfect trifold. I may need to change how I do that. But yeah, this is based roughly on the ones that are used on the Colorado and Southern. I love their work, and I like going to the website and seeing how they did it, so I kind of base mine on that. But yeah, it has our timetable right there. Currently, I have no idea if this is even real, but it's just kind of cool, right? Kind of tells you how to run the railroad and what it does. So that is what I am working on there. So outside of the paperwork and the fact that I have a temporary switching layout going, which by the way, with 2 switches, is incredibly fun. I'm drawing a lot of inspiration from a lot of the small shelf layouts that we're seeing on YouTube. Mog Hobby Stuff has a 2-switch layout that is absolutely enjoyable to watch. There are a couple of others out there that I've really, really liked. And what I'm discovering is I like simplicity. In reality, in my brain, I want to put every industry that I possibly can, and I want all of the trains to stay on the layout, and I want them to go from industry to industry, and that is exciting. But looking at what I actually watch and what I actually enjoy, it's simplicity, right? It's space, because in a small layout, when you take space and you expand it and you allow the trains to live in that space, it looks way better, and you don't actually need all that much. There is a lot of magic in putting your industries off your layout. And that's one area where I'm going to be working is what can I get off the layout? What do I actually need to do the job to provide enough interest and enough activity that it's going to be enough? Because, you know, when you have a 2 or 3 switch industry layout and you work that, it's amazing. And I love it. And that's really what I'm trying to capture here. But I don't need every single industry to be rail served. I can have multiple industries on a single spur. The team track is going to be really, really important for a lot of what I'm doing. The primary use of this railroad is lumber and timber. That's why it exists. So I need to keep with that, being like, okay, how can I support that? And what actually would I be doing? Especially since I'm creating a lot of this just in my head. You know, if you go to Clearwater today, and there will be a journey to Clearwater that I hope to chronicle here when we go and actually take reference photos and stuff for the background and things. There's nothing there. Nothing. I'm building this town out of my imagination into something that it never was. So that design process has been a lot of fun. And now I have to go back. I have to look at, you know, what my industries are. Okay, that's silly. These can be on the same track. You know, what can I actually change around here? So I've really enjoyed the switching layout, and that has exposed the fact that we're going to have a yard, and we're going to make that kind of the primary goal of Clearwater is a classification area as well as running the industries. And then Seeley Lake on the other side of the layout is going to be less of that, right? That's the terminus. That's where there are going to be a few shuffle cars, but the sawmill is the primary industry. That is where we're going to get boxcars of finished lumber out. We're going to send timber in. We're going to send empties out back to the woods. And that's really what I need to do. Right now, functioning on 3 major areas. One area is going to have a log reloading area, which is something that was actually done in Clearwater. I've got a picture from 1958, 56 of them reloading cars from railroad cars onto trucks, or was it trucks onto railroad cars? One of the two. But anyway, it's basically a transload facility for timber. And that is going to be where some of my logs are generated, as well as I'll fly in through the Anaconda Copper Company. But that will mean that I actually have a spot. Because I really wanted to do a whole landing scene and all this stuff. And you know what? That's just not feasible. But what is feasible is something smaller. And also the fact that, like, the lumber mill and the sawmill in Seeley Lake, and the forests coming, what would that be? That would be geographically west of town, I think. West, yeah. Those can be off layout. I don't need to model them. It's okay. That's why we have imaginations. So, really enjoying that. That's where kind of I am right now. We're kind of at a stalemate, but it turns out that I have to do lighting in the room because that is absolutely imperative. I've got some plans on how to do my lighting, and I need to get the base painted. We need to move a shelf out of the room so that I can actually expand the layout to the point that phase 1 is going to be complete for the winter. So I've got a lot of work ahead of me. It's a lot of boring work. I don't get to play trains. I really want to play trains. I want to buy trains. I want to, you know, do the train stuff, but I can't because I've got other things to do. And this is really, really important when you're building a layout. Set your base right, and then test and test and test. And then, you know, once you get there, you can do it. So I guess that's it for me. We'll catch you on the next update. That's what's happening here on the Clearwater Seeley Lake and Pacific Railway. We'll catch you on the next one.